All right, so welcome back to the Four Elements Press LGBTQ author series, where we talk to authors about their works, about how they became authors, and the messages that they have for the LGBTQ community. Today we have Travis Hupp, a poet and multi-published poet with two collections of poems, and who is still writing. And I'll let Travis introduce a little bit about his works and about himself. How are you, Travis?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I have two poetry books that are published already that are available on Amazon worldwide. They're called Faster Annihilators and Sin and Die. And I actually have a third one that's going to be published 7/22/25. So just in about a month or a little bit less. Um, so that'll be out soon. And that one's
Congratulations.
called, thank you. That one's called American Entropy. And I'm really proud of all of them. I write about resilience, um, self acceptance, finding God even amid ruins and darkness, um, nature, the metaphysical, social issues, um, standing against authoritarianism and bigotry and homophobia and racism, um, and the color blue, among other things. So, pretty eclectic array of topics.
Yeah, I like that. Blue's my favorite color, so obviously gonna check those out.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, awesome. And then in what ways do you kind of explore like homophobia and the LGBTQ experience in your works?
Well, my first poetry collection, Faster Annihilators, was written over the course of 24 years, from the time right before I went into high school to 2023. So it kind of covers a lot of me wrestling with figuring out that I was gay and coming out of the closet and doing so in a small southern town before gay marriage was the law of the land, and when anti-LGBTQ plus violence felt like an ever-present threat in the small rural area where I lived. Um, so I write about that a lot, especially in the poems that compile Faster Annihilators, rather. Um, so there's a one called Comma Hoarder, a poem in that one that talks about how a guy is too many things to me, and I hoard his spare commas and I burn through their legions because I was helping him with his homework. And I noticed that he uses way too many commas. And so Homer says, since he can spare the commas, I'll take them and I'll put him between all the different things he is to me. Um, and then there was in Sin and I, some of that carried over. There's a poem that starts off that compilation called Self Defense. And it kind of says tongue in cheekly, but um, it ends up saying compulsory heterosexuality has me considering homicide. Shutting their mouths is really self defense because I was in an environment where I was surrounded by nothing but heterosexuals who just assumed that everybody else was heterosexual, who were very overbearing with the expectations that they had that everybody around them act straight to a certain extent or to an acceptable extent. And I don't think they even knew that they were acting that way, but that's the message that they were getting across to anybody who wasn't heterosexual. So those are a couple examples of me covering that issue.
Yeah, and I like how you kind of frame that last bit about how maybe in some societies, people and some groups, people don't realize that maybe they are coming off as very like hetero pushing,
Yeah,
they just are so hetero in such a heteronormative society that they can't see their biases. And part of this series is to focus on our voices so that our voices, can reach them. Because if without kind of the representation, they're not going to have these thoughts like, oh wait, maybe how I am acting could be taken in a different way from someone who is not
Sure,
heterosexual. And even sometimes that thought and that like initial exposure is enough to kind of just make people question how they present themselves in life, and
yeah,
which we obviously are aware of every day, how we present
sure,
ourselves.
yeah, we're
But
made to be.
yeah, yeah, because we have to be. Um, but that's great. I love how you speak to the LGBTQ community and also to society in general. That's
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a mark of a good poet and also a mark of a great LGBTQ author who can make a difference. So thank you
Yeah,
for that.
that's important to me, and it's um, just to be authentic on one level, but also to start conversations and give people who might be struggling to come out or thinking about it the courage to do so, and to give people who might be living in a rural area like I am, who feel very isolated um, and surrounded by nothing but straight people, the courage to come out and to feel seen by a poetry collection. And the written word can really do a lot towards making LGBTQ people feel less lonely, even when they're in an isolated environment.
Yeah. So what unique struggles did you have being in a rural environment in becoming an author?
Um, there were guys that I had a crush on who seemed to return my feelings, but then would flee from that, who would kind of repress it and then turn around and kind of act in ways like they were punishing me toward for not repressing it. Um, there were people that said that they would accept me and then basically turned around and sidelined me and stopped answering my texts and calls and didn't invite me to do things as much, or would act weird around me in certain situations. Like if we were thinking about going to the gym together, they would act really strange about potentially being in a locker room with me.
Oh,
Um, just crazy stuff like that. And as far as it being a challenge for me being an author, um, it was a while before, after I started writing, before I got comfortable really um, explicitly delving into and revealing a lot about coming out of the closet and being gay and my emotions in regards to that, and not being afraid to express the emotions that are involved with feeling love for a member of my same sex. And then um, finding venues in my local area to do poetry readings and get my art out there once it was published has been a little bit challenging here and there. Although it's getting better, but um, the politics of it and the fact that it's unashamedly LGBTQ plus in subject matter, there's still some venues where it doesn't seem all that welcoming to that, and I think maybe the crowd that those venues would draw wouldn't be really the niche that I'm looking for necessarily. Not that I wouldn't do it anyway. It might do some people some good to hear things that they don't ordinarily hear. But it's still a challenge navigating all of that in a rural area.
yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. It's got to be uncomfortable. Well,
It can
first
be.
to be in the venue as a gay individual and then to get on stage takes another level of strength.
Yeah.
Um, and then how about your how you became an author? How did you publish your works?
Well, like I said, the first one, Faster Annihilators, was the product of my writing poems for over 24 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I kept them in a box, and I would show them to some people sometimes. And I had a few close friends that would say, you know, you really ought to get these published. These are really good. And
Yeah.
don't stop writing and stuff like that. And I figured I would probably do it one day, but I kind of am a perfectionist, so I kept whittling at my poems and editing them a little bit more, and always getting kind of stuck thinking, well, this line should really say that, or I'm not quite happy with this, or just editing them to death. And so it took me till I was in my 40s, my early 40s, to finally be like, look, I'm just going to get this published and I'm sick of waiting. So I went with a small press hybrid publisher, which gives authors more creative control over the final product. And, you don't have to worry about anybody censoring you or stepping in as an edit from an editorial standpoint saying, I think you should tone this down, or you can't use that word because that's profanity, even if you feel like profanity is called for. And um, things like that. So I went with Atmosphere Press, and they did a really good job, and they really respect my artistic vision, and they get where my poetry is coming from, and they believe in it, and they've supported me the whole way, and so it's worked out really well.
That's awesome. Yeah. A lot of our followers are writers themselves or in the LGBT community who might be looking to publish one day. So all of these different avenues of publishing are important to kind of review to show how they too, maybe if they don't want to be a self-published author, I self-published my work. There are hybrid publishers out there who will do a lot of the work for you, but also give
Mhm.
you a lot of control,
Sure,
and might pay you a little bit more royalties too,
they do.
opposed to traditional publishers.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's awesome that you found a press to find your work and really support it. It's it's tough out there.
Yeah, it is. But they put a good team behind their authors, and they really care about what they're doing. And so, yeah, it
Good.
really makes you feel good about the whole process.
Yeah. I like to review a little bit about because writers write for different reasons. Not every writer is looking to write to, be an advertising expert at the end of it.
Yeah.
How do you kind of market your book, or do you market your book?
Yeah. Well, I employ social media. I have an account on Threads, and I'm on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page called Poetry of Travis Hupp.
Yeah.
Um, so I market them extensively that way, whether it's posting um, pictures of the book covers and letting people know that they're out and they're available on Amazon, or publishing praise that I've gotten from the reviews for the books, which the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive, so that helps.
Yeah.
Um, I've been posting on Threads a lot in the run up to American Entropy coming out, that it'll um, be out July 22nd of this year.
Yeah.
Um, and then Atmosphere also, every time I publish a book, they do a certain amount of promotional stuff for me too. Like they'll set up an author reading over Zoom with me and a couple other authors, whose works all kind of gel well together, and we'll all do readings of our books for a while. And they make sure that the book is distributed to a good number of professional reviewers to get critical reviews and stuff like that. And um, they come up with a whole marketing strategy for
Mm.
how they think is best to strategize the whole marketing angle. So it gives you a pretty good launch pad, and then I just go from there.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for going over all of that because I know a lot of hybrid publishers, they all kind of have their own ways that they market or maybe won't market and stuff like that. So it's great to know that they're kind of putting in a lot of work to help you out.
Yeah, and then I also have been pretty tireless about advocating for my own work and getting out there and finding podcasts that are interviewing up and coming and contemporary poets, and finding local author events to go to. And um, I'm in the process of trying to set up some poetry readings now. So hopefully that'll pan
Yeah.
out into something good too.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you.
It's it's great to see that you're kind of bringing the community into your work too. And I think that's a big part of the work that we have to do as a community. And not that it's our responsibility as authors, but it we're at a point in in our society where it is people with our voices and our platforms to kind of start organizing too.
Sure.
Because a lot of people are looking for places right now to
Hmm.
for support, for inspiration, for hope, and
Yeah.
they're looking to voices like ours who are kind of in the public sphere. And if we're not kind of out there getting to them, uh, their good intentions might go elsewhere or unfulfilled, you know?
Right.
So, um, what, and I would love to have you on before your or after your next collection launches. Maybe we could do a
Sure.
reading or even like just a launch conversation specifically about that collection.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Do you have a specific message for the LGBTQ community or maybe some young writers who are people considering writing as a career? Any like
Ye-
special
Yeah.
advice?
Um, just I want the LGBTQ plus community to know that if they feel anger about the progress society hasn't made and how far we still haven't come, especially in certain areas in the South, in red states, et cetera, that they're entitled to that anger and it's justified, um, but that they can use it to channel it into dynamic art and um, things that can spark conversations and things that can move the needle toward equality, and that they don't have to just stew in it and internalize it and let it hurt them inside, and they don't have to lash out at people either. If they have people in their lives who are trying to be there for them, maybe, but just don't necessarily know how or are kind of not that good at it yet, just writing a poem, writing a novel, if that's something that you want to look into, painting, the arts in general are a really good way to express that anger in ways that can help you move through it and get to a point where you're not just expressing anger anymore. You also end up expressing um, the joy of coming out of the closet and living your truth, even if it's difficult, and the resilience that you find, and the conversations that you spark in other people. And it can help you discover, like, for instance, how good it feels for me when somebody tells me that my poetry makes them feel seen. And especially if it makes them feel seen as a queer person living in modern America, or that it makes them feel seen as somebody struggling with mental health issues, or um, as a Christian LGBTQ plus person who has dealt with a lot of persecution and ignorance in the church, but still wants to stay because they still feel that deeply rooted faith in God. Um, there's no price that can be put on how that feels and how much good that can do to have your voice out there, sparking those conversations and creating those dialogues and creating safe spaces to have those dialogues. It really is an invaluable thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of the bringing humanity back into our society. It's unnatural to divide and divide and divide.
Right.
We're a people of bringing together, and that's a message that the LGBTQ community in general like holds very dear, but that we still have a lot of work to push because we see the tragedies in the world today, and
Yeah.
we're gonna get past it. It's just gonna take all of us getting together, organizing,
Yeah.
sharing with each other our experiences, and kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. So thank you for being our small part of pushing that envelope and trying to create a media space that is supporting and that can hopefully drive some change. Thank you, Travis.
And I do what I
Um,
can.
yeah, I'm gonna have all of your links to your websites and your socials in the description and on the article for the interview.
Okay,
Um, I'll send it over to you once it launches.
cool.
Do you have any last things to say to our audience? We're gonna have you back, definitely. I want to feature your upcoming work, but for now,
Maybe I'll end with just a, by reciting a really quick poem that's from Faster Annihilators. It's a really quick one,
yes,
but I think it is simple, but yet has profound meaning as well. It's called
yes,
I Forget Me, and it's just 4 lines. It goes, when you forget me, I forget me too. When I forget me, I still remember you.
wow, yeah, I can feel that, and I think a lot of us in the community can too.
Yeah,
Uh,
I hope so.
yeah, and that's from Master Annihilator, so that's from the one coming up, right?
No, that's from my first one. Faster
Oh, that's from the
Annihilators was
first.
the first one. Sin and I was the second one, and American Entropy is the one that's coming out on
Okay.
July 22nd.
Okay, so check out Travis's works. They are on Amazon. I'm going to put them in the article and in the description below. So support Travis, support us at Four Elements Press, and be on the lookout for the next video in our LGBTQ authors series. Thank you so much for watching, and you all have a great day. Take care.